It's another beautiful Saturday, and this is the brunch here on Kerr Fatou with me, Joy Mama. And of course, I'm not alone in the studio. On my immediate right, I have Mr. Lamin Tamba, who's from the Standard newspaper, and of course, our very own Mustafa K. Dabo. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, and welcome back.
So, Mr. Lamin Tamba will be taking us through the newspaper review, and here are some of the topics he will be delving into: security, politics, and the TRRC. Mr. Chan?
Thank you very much, Joy, and welcome back to the brunch for everybody across the globe, that is. Yes, like you rightly said, we will talk politics, as covered in the press. We will also talk about some bit about security, because we had the former Chief of Defense, Bani, weighing into the debates that emerged when the EU representative to the Gambia, Laos, hinted that the European Union may not continue to fund the ECOWAS mission in the Gambia beyond August, when the current term expires. Now, this has generated a lot of debate, among Gambians, both at home and abroad. There is a wide-held view that perhaps it is time for the government to sit up to the fact that, look, we will have to do away with economic and now rely on our own security outfits to run the country's security. And then there are other views saying that, well, perhaps it's premature. A way must be found out for economic to stay a little bit on, at least until some security reforms have been done. And that is the point General Baji said. He said he believed that economic should stay a little longer. Now, he even went to give economic reasons for such like, but that may not be the catch point. The catch point is his CDS, a former, he's on top of the issue. He should be an authority on the subject matter. He said economic should stay a little longer, even though he has a lot of confidence in the current leadership of the army and other securities to be able to run the country. That's the debate we will touch on a little while. When I read his statement, when I read the interview, I had two impressions. One, okay, maybe he may be right that the security reform should be carried out before all the foreign troops leave. And what I learned from it is he perhaps thinking that the security reforms could come with some pain or some feelings that might, trigger disgruntledness among the forces? Or did he still think that there are still feelings, that are not yet reconciled in the fallout, in the wake up of the regime change, etc., etc.? What do you think of it?
Well, this is a very complex issue. So it's not in the interest of the Gambia that its internal security is in the hands of its neighbors or
foreign troops.
Yeah. So, but also, if you look at it, a lot of uncomfortable truth are being unveiled at the TRRC. This implicates, or in some instances, directly connects to some people who are
still
on our suspicion, still influential in the security sector. And if you look at it from that perspective, then you understand that perhaps we need a quicker reform to deal with those kind of challenges. In other words, retire those who we suspect are involved in violations before, human rights violations, so that the security sector can be fit for purpose. But if you look at it also on the other side, you understand that a lot of a lot of our soldiers, greater majority of our soldiers are not necessarily involved in right violations. A greater majority. Of course, you have those who were used and created a special unit that involves some elite soldiers who were used to carry out these violations. So if the greater percentage of the soldiers were to pay for a crime committed by an elite few who were privileged before, giving all the resources they needed, then that would be unfair.
I think when they say reform, I think it's wider than the fact that they need to remove those who are directly involved. There is no doubt about it. There's no argument about those who have been named, you know, whether it's TRRC or in some quarters, other quarters, for the alleged involvement of atrocities. No doubt about it. So, like particularly the worst, the worst ones, the ones that have said to be among the junglers, for example, have been disbanded. The state guard, so to speak, the patrol team, you know, all have been disbanded now. There is no such thing. And the army command, under General Kinte, since they came to office, was that there will never be a special unit, a patrol unit or jungler unit in the army anymore. That's assurance he gave. But I think it will go on to profile all, like a staff audit, if you want to say, in civil service, to profile all security, their nationalities, maybe their qualifications, and how do they join the field, what do they do, and then if there's going to be redundancies, and almost certainly there's going to be redundancies, then perhaps it will be based on this criteria. And then, of course, the president has hinted that they will have to find money to shake the hands for the final time of officers they may not need. So I want to believe that what may happen is, for example, if Mustafa had signed 5 years and is 2.5 years into his service, and they probably don't need his service for one reason or the other, they will pay up, retire him and pay up all the benefits that he would have earned in 5 years' time. Yes. So you go. So the logistics are huge. Perhaps that is why the process was a bit slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But from now, what I have seen, the activities I've seen around, I think at least the beginning of the process has started, because I've seen that there's a lot of activities, photographs have been taken, forms have been filled. I know all about that from our proximity to the military barracks there. So I think the starting of the process has started.
Yeah, the process has started, but my worry is that the time required for this process to finish.
Yeah, that would be beyond August.
That would definitely be beyond August.
Yes, no doubt about it.
So the second option for Gambia could be if ECOMIC feels uncomfortable or feels ECOMIC does not have the resources to keep the forces here beyond 2019.
Yes.
The likely option, which Senegal obviously has an interest in, is for Senegalese forces to stay.
Well, the president has said that even if ECOMIC were to go, he said this at the expiry of the first mission, that he would ask for support from Senegal.
Absolutely, that's what I am saying.
For a number of troops to come here.
Yes, I think because in fact, the Senegal and Gambia has currently signed a defense agreement, part of which we don't know much about, but we do know that this defense agreement has given Senegal some leeway it's more or less than the previous defense agreement we've had back in the 70s and the 80s. But this would give Senegal also an opportunity to because it obviously has an interest in Gambia's security. Insecurity in Gambia means insecurity in Senegal, and even more insecurity in Casamance.
Now,
so I think that Senegal has an interest, and based on that defense cooperation, they could bring some of their forces to fill some gaps if there were in our defense infrastructure. But by and large, I think it's in the interest of the Gambia that we speed this reform, that we don't sit down and get comfortable. We have good soldiers, and these good soldiers, it's about time that they are given the opportunity to take control of this country. We could few numbers who are involved in crimes can be punished are laid off.
So was General Baghi, was he making sense when he said?
I think he was making sense, because the difference between us and General Baghi is that General Baghi was talking from two vantage points.
Yeah.
One, he has an inside knowledge of what is in the army.
Yes.
And two, he has he's a civilian as well.
And
so he knows what you know and I know.
Perhaps I should
and he knows what we don't know.
Perhaps I should.
So, but we can also question the basis of his logic, the basis of his thinking. We can question that.
Why? You already said that he probably knows better than us.
He knows better than us. But that doesn't necessarily mean he would be right. What I am trying to put across is that General Baghi knows the challenges within, and he knows it will take time to address these challenges.
Yes.
But my argument is that, in my own humble opinion, I think it's 1 year, it's too reasonable a time.
Let's say a year from that.
Yes. A year from now is too reasonable a time for us to fix all the challenges within the security, train this security, make them understand that the security serves a country and nothing more.
And the other thing, perhaps I should widen, his context of his interview, because he also talked about how fragile security was during the impasse. He learned lessons there. That's why he could not provide security for the president-elect at the time. Of course, that was on the Jammeh's time, and he made mention of it. But he said something that's very important, that some section of the army were not taking command from him.
Yes.
But they were taking command directly from the president.
Of course.
And that's why he couldn't provide security to Barrow, because he didn't even trust. Even if he were to do that, the very soldiers who is going to put there, he doesn't trust them. Who are they talking to? So if anything happens to Barrow at the time, he would be responsible if he supplied the wrong personnel to guard him. So he said that was his reason of not providing it. Do you think he made sense?
Yes, I think so. Usman is not, Usman and his guys during the impasse have played I've said it here, it's very difficult to understand.
Yes.
I've said it here. But whatever was their reasons, I think it was good that this country didn't go to war.
Yeah.
And whatever their reasons were, and whatever Usman's reasons were, I think it was good that he didn't provide Barrow security. Whatever his reasons were, whether he was right or wrong.
He said he could not trust soldiers in there.
Maybe that
because
is true.
Jammeh was a very dangerous man. He said he was unpredictable. You don't know who he was talking to.
Maybe he's right. But I was
in
the defense headquarters with Usman, and I've heard him say
he even dramatized it. He said even his son, he wouldn't have trusted him to put to guard Barrow, because he didn't know who is he talking to. And at the time, it was chaotic. The army were not taking command from him. Jammeh was around, so he said it was difficult to give security to Barrow, because it was.
He also had a reasonable degree of control at the time. So, but like I said, with Usman, I don't know where to stand on him. He's a very difficult person to understand.
All right, let's move on to the next thing is the TRRC. TRRC, not so much as the sittings, but as to what happened after the last sitting. There's much talk about sitting involving Alaji Kanyi. We saw that although this matter is in court now, Yankuba Toure finally charged and bailed. Recently, Fatmata Jahumpa, who was also said by Kanyi to have called him in connection with TRRC, was also arrested and charged and bailed. So, without trying to discuss this substantive matter before the court, is the TRRC trying to set a precedent and to say, look, we don't want to set a precedent where anybody will play with us?
I think the TRRC is basically telling the country and the world that we have a teeth, we can bite, so that no one else messes with them. This is an institution that has powers that equates to the powers of the High Court. It's not just Mr. Fall sitting comfortably and talking and smiling. He has powers.
But people,
and he's exercising that powers.
But some people are saying, well, they are acting now as if they are a court. and they said it's not at the court.
Oh, but TRRC is not prosecuting witnesses who come before them.
Yes.
So TRRC is not acting as if it's a court.
Yeah.
TRRC is, because there is a law that established TRRC, and that law says anybody who tampers or interferes with a witness or a potential witness is liable to a fine of $1 million or a 3-year prison term, or both.
Or both. Now,
so TRRC is just doing the TRRC. The government is the one that the police are the ones who are charged with the responsibility of implementing or enforcing the law.
Exactly.
In the government, the executive is
TRRC or court. Because
so this has nothing to do with TRRC. The TRRC has its powers and its act. Now it's the government, it's the executive that's enforcing the law now.
Now that's not so much as the executive. Let's say it's the law taking its natural course.
Yes.
Because even in court, if you interfere a witness, with you are subject to this. But let's take it. Let's define a line between government, because government has come out to give a statement explaining that Yankuba has been taken to this and this, and people queried. Well, let's ask questions. Does the government need to talk for the TRRC, or are they not independent to? No,
government was just doing, politicians do like.
Didn't they say this should not be for anybody to settle political scores?
Oh no, but politicians. TRRC was doing what it should have done.
No, I mean
we all agree. No, let's just state this one.
Now, people said when the government came with a statement explaining what happened, some people said, well, why is the government speaking for the?
The government is not speaking for TRRC.
No, some people's view.
No, the point is, and I think this needs to be clear. Yankuba and Fatou Jahumba, what they are alleged to have done is a crime.
Yes.
That is clear, right?
Yes.
Their arrest is legitimate.
Yes.
That is clear.
Yes. But
they are taken to court. That is clear.
Yeah, but
we all know what the TRRC's act says. That also is clear.
But do we need government to tell us through its spokesman or through its that well?
That's government's business.
But that's what people said.
TRRC has nothing to do with that.
But then people
what we know is that TRRC is an independent institution.
I'm not saying it's TRRC, but do we need somebody to talk? Well, that's what people said. Do we need government to say,
to talk on the
we have arrested him because he allegedly interfered with TRRC? You don't do that in every case.
Well, the government, that's what I'm saying. Now, the point is, Yakuba happens to be an infamous person at this moment. You know how executives act. Now, it's the executive that arrests Yakuba. It's the government. It's the government. It's not the TRRC.
Don't say the executive. If you say executive, you are insinuating government interference.
But it's the government that arrests him. It's the responsibility of the government, not the TRRC. Doesn't have the police.
Is the will and natural course of justice that the police,
an
arm of government, yes, but law enforcement is independent.
Yes.
All right. So if you say government, people say, so is government. The police have been asked by government to do it.
No. That is why people said, what the government said.
That's why people said, in fact, government should not give any impression, let's say by unnecessarily attracting criticism to themselves by coming out with a statement. They may just keep quiet. Everybody know what happened. So that's
but the government didn't also do anything wrong. They just issued a statement to say we are confirming that actually Yankuba had been arrested.
That's a police job or the government's job? That's why the problem.
Well, yes, that should never have come from the government spokesman. The police could have issued a statement and say, well, we have arrested.
There you come.
I agree. But also bear in mind that Sankare, by the virtue of his responsibility, can issue a statement on behalf of every government agency.
That is true. But including TRRC?
He is the government spokesman. And that includes the police. The police are a government agency.
Yes, I know, but...
Not included, but the guy did not issue a statement on behalf of TRRC.
No, he didn't. He said on behalf of government.
On behalf of government. And police are a part of government.
I know. But then police are supposed to be independent.
Yes.
And you link them, or supposedly
to the political
then
paymasters.
Yes, then people will have problems. So that's where many people have the trouble.
I see their reasoning.
You see the point, yes. If the police had come out to say, well, we have arrested Mr. So-and-so, well, then that's normal. Because
I see their reasoning, though I don't necessarily agree.
Yes, so, but then people are saying that if government comes to speak for them, people will say, look, these people are trying to interfere because they shouldn't have come out to say we did it.
Yeah.
They should let the TRC to go.
Yes.
That was one observation. What was the other topic we talked about again?
We have
the politics. One or two things. The GDC, the PPP were all in the news. The PPP, of course, you know, the never-ending feud between the two Papa Njai and the other side. But what is making interesting? Jawara's family members are split over the board camps. One grandson is saying that Jawara never endorsed Papa, and another grandson said, well, that's my fellow grandson's view, and the party didn't belong to the Jawara family, so I have to. Where will it end? What do we do?
I think the Jawara family are influential.
They are influential, but the old man he's quite old and cannot make.
No, the old man doesn't have any interest in.
Yeah, he said it. Well, he has said he resigned. But don't you think it will need now? Well, you cannot say a fatherly figure, but don't you think it will need some intervention from somebody now who can bring these things together? Because it looks like they will never agree. Is Jawara
the only person who can salvage PPP is Jawara himself. PPP, as the dispute is right now, there is only one person none of them would disagree with.
That's Jawara.
And that's Jawara.
But Jawara is because of his age and judgment.
Jawara would not interfere, so that is why I say PPP, it's fighting a fight that will eventually take it to the grave.
Yeah, because
that's exactly what's happening.
When Jawara is saying he's not interested or he's not going to side anybody, he wants the full course.
The dispute will rage on.
He is quoted as saying he wants the procedures to go. But these people couldn't agree on the very procedures. That's where the problem is.
You don't also think that if Jawara were to speak, he may have given Papa Njai an endorsement rather than BB.
Why do you think Jawara will do it?
Well, here is the thing. So there are two things here I don't understand. For the survival of the party, I honestly don't think Papa and BB are on the same platform. BB is more mature,
but you see,
more intelligent.
Yes, but you know,
more vast in politics. But then, if you look at it, BB and Jawara had times when he became suspicious of BB's not just his ambitions, but BB's loyalty to him and to the party.
All right, now,
you understand? So these two things are
in the absence of
a bit complex.
Endorsing any camp. Let's go by what he said, that he wants the procedures to be followed. Now, these people could not agree on that very procedure. Yeah, that's where the problem is. Because whereas the Papa Njai camp is saying that everything went above board, the BB Dabo camp is saying that the process was fraudulent. Even Papa's own membership is questionable. Now, if they couldn't agree on the very procedure that's meant to bring them together,
I think the very
where will we go now? Where will they go now?
I think the argument of the BB Dabo camp is plausible in some ways because Papa was UDP, Papa was independent.
Initially, no.
Then all of a sudden, the UDP.
No. In fact, no. UDP before independent because he sought UDP candidate.
And then
when he was told that no, you cannot get that automatically, you have to go through primaries. He backed out.
So it's
he
plausible.
Even said he was not going to contest independent, but he went to independent.
So it's plausible for anyone to think that this is a guy who only belongs to where he gets leadership.
So you mean if the BB Dabo camp said Papa's very membership of PPP is questionable?
Yeah, because in fact he may have left if he lost PPP leadership. What assurance do you have that he will stay?
Because that's what happened with UDP.
Because that's what he wants. So, but the point is, my problem with the BB camp also is that I don't think the old man will necessarily trust in his loyalty to the party, given their past.
No, but now,
because Jawara is suspicious of BB, and he said it in his book.
That could have been. But look at it now. Look at the people, the players in there, because obviously OJ is the big man behind Papa.
He engineered
He
Papa.
engineered Papa and he's dead.
Papa is his
Yaya
successor.
Cisse, a senior man in the party, Kalilu Singate, and the old guys, they want Bakari Dawo.
But PPP's revival entirely relies squarely on Bibi. There's no question about it.
You are saying that you are saying that when it comes to credentials and influence,
When it comes
Bibi,
to everything,
Bibi would do a better job for the interest of the party than Papa.
Of course.
Well, if you talk to OJ, we said no, because he said he's been to Brikama Bar,
Yeah, but
and people enthusiastic.
But PPP has never grown beyond the shadows of OJ himself. PPP has always been...
Even when he was interim leader.
Yes, PPP has
always been...
It has always been as big as OJ is. It has never been bigger than him. So my point is, I think with BB, it could have grown far bigger, but then to convince me that the old man Jawara would endorse BB, I would question that. Because
maybe you are
old
talking about,
man,
but then when things change, but things can change. You know, the old man is not interested anymore, and he has resigned.
Yes, but
and
suspicion sometimes are difficult to cure.
If he shares the view, your view, that perhaps the survival of the party, I mean, depends more on Davo than Papa Njai, maybe he might subscribe. What I'm trying to ask is, who will it take to come and to put these heads together to see eye to eye? Where will they get to?
That's where I don't see that.
Nobody can do it.
I don't see that.
So because the bickering will continue.
Yeah, I see that. That's why I told you they are in a fight that will eventually take them to the ground.
Now the GDC said there have been conflicted remarks from senior officials from the party. Dr. Demba Sabale, who was supposed to be the national chairman, was caught on tape. And it must be said that this is one tape they didn't want to circulate much. At a closed-door meeting with chairpersons, councillors, that the party's interest actually is for Barrow to continue whatever is left of him, than to see Anosiano Dabo presidency for even 2 days. Now this was said, he thought he was talking to himself or his party alone, but somehow it came out in public.
It was recorded.
Yes, and the party spokesman, Mama Jingjai, said this is the man's own view. It's not the party's position. Do you think the damage is already done? The UDP is suspicious already of what
if you've been following, look, you know, we said this here.
Yes.
Look, this is if you've been following Gambian politics.
Yes.
You know, obviously, you know, in politics there is an enemy. No, there is an enemy.
Yes.
But there is something, frenemy as well. You know, like a frenemy, like an enemy that can be your friend. Like an enemy that is your friend.
Depending on...
Yes, depending on... yes. So you have a necessary evil. A necessary evil. Now, that is what happened when the coalition was being formed. There are frenemies. There are necessary evils there are people who have come together with people they consider to be necessary evils. Yes. Like they are evils, we don't want to do anything with them, but because when they are faced with a challenge of survival, collective challenge of survival, this is what brings them together. Now, import that into the current situation. This is Barrow's thinking.
Yes.
Barrow appointed Dabo partly because he knew that as long as Dabo remains the vice president, his only successor, if he honors the coalition agreement, would be Dabo. And nobody, none of these people who would be advocating for 3 years want Dabo to succeed Barrow. None of them. None of them.
Now let's look at this. In fact, there are things one should be clear about this.
Yes.
According to our present constitution, when the president resigns, or God forbid is out of the presidency for one reason or the other, there should be elections within 3 months. Now that does not necessarily mean that he's going to be automatically succeeded by the vice president.
No, of course. Come to think of it, when the president is out.
Yes.
We are looking at the coalition manifesto. The coalition manifesto is right. That's what we are looking at.
What did they say?
What the coalition says.
Yeah, but
is
no,
that wait. The constitution is in line with this. Let's just explain this.
Yeah.
When the president leaves,
Yes.
there will be 3 months.
Yes.
And that 3 months to prepare an election.
Elections, yes.
Meanwhile, it is the vice president who will lead the country for 90 days and prepare that election.
Who's going to prepare this speaker?
Vice president. You understand?
Yes, go ahead.
So, and that is where the point is.
The vice president will be acting president.
Yes, but he will,
organized.
for 90 days, organize the election, preside over an election.
So these people don't...
And it's that vice president who will also, so, I mean, man.
It will become a candidate of his own advantage.
Yeah. So you know the power of the incumbency.
I understand, but for just 90 days.
Of course, 90 days is too good a time.
Unlike other constitutions, when he will continue until the term is finished. I think that's where the greatest fear is, if that is what is in our constitution. But our constitution says elections will be organized in 90 days.
That's what I'm saying, 3 months in 90 days.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's the vice president who will be in office.
So basically Dr. Sabali is saying that...
Dr. Sabali is right.
He's saying that even if Barrow were to continue for the remaining years,
yes,
that's better than for 2 days of Dabo.
Let's take sentiment out. Dr. Sabali is right.
That's the party's
interest. Yes, because that is what the party wants to come to power.
Yes. So with Dabo, because they know Dabo is a leader of the political party.
Yes.
Dabo being incumbent even for 2 days is enough for him to subvert or to increase.
UDP is undoubtedly the biggest party in the country. But then you give them the incumbency, you think you can defeat them like that?
But now
it's going to be difficult.
But the spokesman is saying that perhaps Demba, is it
because there are certain things you cannot...
Is it just playing to the minds that...
There are certain things you cannot admit in public.
Perhaps the chairman, Sabali, was too harsh or too blunt with whatever they are sitting on there.
Of course.
So the PRO is just trying to save face, but the damage is already done.
There are things you cannot admit in public.
Absolutely.
But these are things, you can hold a view, but you know this view is so embarrassing that I cannot say it.
He said it now.
He said it. He just said what everybody is thinking.
What is thinking?
And even you, this is what sounds logical to every one of us.
He's saying this position of the party because he said that's the interest of our party. Whatever we do, we look at the interest of the party.
Now, put it the other way around. If to be appointed as the vice president, do you think the UDP would have wanted Barrow to resign for Kanda to take over?
Oh, well...
For 3 months?
They wouldn't like it.
Of course, that's the point. What's the point?
To wrap up this, to wrap up this debate now, what did it tell you? That the rest of the political parties, is this a widespread feeling that the rest of the political parties will be prepared to accommodate Barrow's renegades.
Absolutely.
Renegades.
But that is what I said partly.
Yes, I'm saying, I'm coming. You want to believe that, despite all their pronouncements, the rest of the political parties, even with the coalition or outside, would be prepared to accommodate Barrow's broken promise than to put up with a double presidency. Is this only you, GDC, or you think this feeling is
all the political? I think part of the reasons why Barrow is keeping Dabo there is that Dabo is a defense. It's a Chinese wall between Barrow and his potential enemies.
Thank you very much, Mr.
So basically, you are saying that Barrow is looking for a backdoor to remain in power because he knows that. Okay, these people may not like me to remain in power, but they would like Dabo too. So they would rather put up with me. So he has now an easy right to go to fight.
And then Dabo becomes the Chinese wall.
But the trouble is that his ambitions are beyond that. What will happen next?
What?
How much can he?
Time will take care of that.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lamin Tamba and Mr. Dabo, for quite an insightful one on both security, politics, and just to name a few. And over to you now, Mr. K. Dabo. What do you have for us on the Fatou website?
So here is the thing. We had covered, I think over the week, the government had issued a press release. Not over the week, I think yesterday. The government had issued a press release talking about placing a moratorium on a temporary ban on the deportations. Of course, the government had no powers to tell Germany you cannot deport people. That's clear. But the government can negotiate to say, to reach an agreement to say, can you buy us some time? We know there are people who are staying in your country who don't have papers. Give us some latitude to address some perennial domestic problems. But we know this has been preceded by a demonstration in US, I think, and in the Gambia and Westphal, where a lot of people took to the street, dozens, to go and demand that the government put an end to deportation of Gambians from Germany, and mainly European countries, Germany, mainly Spain, Germany, and Italy, because this is where you have most of Gambia's so-called backway migrants.
Well, so the first lesson, well, the first question is that if a government is saying they have put a moratorium on it, and yet they say they are not in total, they are not in control. Right? I mean, the observer is left dumbfounded. Observers will be left dumbfounded or confused when he said, you don't have any control or leverage when it comes to deportation from a foreign country. Yet you are saying you have put a moratorium. Are they saying that they are no longer going to accept Gambian citizens who are put on a plane to come back?
I think that would be irresponsible for the want of a better English, for want of a better word. I think that would be irresponsible. No country can tell its other fellow country that we know you have our citizens, but we can't accept them.
So
what I think what happened,
message, stop it for a while.
Yeah, I think what happened, the Gambia government and the European Union, when the new government came into being, Gambia's position had elevated from being an unsafe country to a safe country. Now what that means is that human rights situations, the economy, when Gambia was here, Gambia was designated as an unsafe country.
Some of the things,
so based on that, you can seek an asylum in Europe and say, I come from the Gambia, it's not a safe country, it's this, it's that. But now when that situation changes to a safe country, they deported people. Now, but the European Union and the Gambia government had something that the Gambia government declined they have, but it's true they do. It's called a good practice document. Now this document explains in clear terms how Gambia would accept back its citizens for a proper reintegration program.
And that is 15 people per month?
Yes, it started with a negotiation of 50 people per month, and I think, no, this was with EU.
So that's
for all the member
countries to the 15.
Yes, so there was indeed a discussion. But the point is, these are people who have already exhausted all their asylum procedure. You understand? They've exhausted all of it. And then they designated as people who are not wanted.
Illegal.
So that means they ought to be deported. So, but the problem is, how do you deport them?
So
that's where Gambia comes in.
The argument is between the EU, if there is any at all, is how these people will come back, but not the question of whether they will come back. Because
you cannot determine that. You cannot determine whether they will come back, but how they will come back. So Gambia's argument was that
when the protesters hoisted banners, slogans, reading President Barrow, you have sent your kids to America, our brothers went into the Mediterranean and died, others who survived, you are bringing them back.
And that is a legitimate thing, because for me, what makes me angry about all these deportations and things is that African mind ought to change now. Because what Africa has been dealing with all these years, all these decades, is not the poverty of, it's not that we don't have resources, it's the poverty of the mind. It's that the African mind does not believe that Africa can indeed be a land where Africans can be succeeded. Because the African has come to believe that Europe is the only place where he can make a living.
Exactly.
Now, so the point is, but African governments ought to also create an environment where Africans can survive in this country.
Yeah, but this
For instance, why would the president send his son to study? Africa should enact laws that will prevent African presidents from going for treatment in US, from going for treatment elsewhere, or from going to send their children to school elsewhere. So that they will create that environment in the country where everybody will equally have access to those facilities. So in that regard, I agree with them. But in a point where you say the president should stop this, the president has no powers to tell Germany, you cannot deport our citizens. They are in my country, I don't want them.
Put the press, like the government is deporting them. They don't even say in Germany.
It's not government deporting them.
Some banners read like that. But then,
I'm aware
finally,
of a project that the German government is hosting, and that project is about Gambians that have willingly repatriated by themselves, come back home. They would be re-established.
Reintegrated.
Re-established in terms of business, and also reintegrate in terms of society. So I feel that the government and Germany, or the German government, do see and also have the interest of Gambians in Germany at hand. And that's why such initiative was being brought.
But indeed, they had discussions on how to even fund the GTTI and elevate its status to a university level, but also to empower its technical training capabilities, so that Gambian youth can go there. You remember when the German president visited here, and he went to the MDI, and they talked about that. But the next phase is for the Gambian government to create within this country an opportunity for young people to stay and work in this country. The solution is not running after resources elsewhere.
Which the government will always say, we are trying to do.
But they are not doing.
Government will always say we don't have, well, we all know that we don't have enough. They would say we don't have enough resources
No,
to
we do.
give jobs to everybody, or to keep everybody. And we can't stop somebody who wants to travel anyway, even if you have millions in his bank.
But the point is,
still go to look for.
But the point is, of course,
if it's in his mind.
Okay, we know part of the problem of backway is that it's a brain thing, it's a mental thing. But in that kind of a case, we can talk to them. But we also know part of it is a poverty thing.
Yeah, it plays a part, and of course the availability of a route other than the normal routes. That played a part in that, I told you.
Absolutely.
The breakdown of law and order in Libya provides now an outlet for people to reach Europe without acquiring visas.
Absolutely.
That is what leads to this floodgate. Because if there had not been a back way, we probably wouldn't have got this problem.
Absolutely.
So some of these problems, and then somebody will ask, who caused that problem? Is it not the West?
Well, it's the Western world.
It's the Western world who caused the problem.
So we are here. It's the.
So they are very much part of the problem. So they should be part of the solution.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
but
yes,
deportation, will the issue go away, or will it?
I think it will go away. It's a question of time. When Africa has the right leadership, it will go away. Because Africa, I mean, Europeans also had their terrible times.
Right.
You know,
like somebody told me.
Even America has its own terrible time. Every country, every continent goes through a very difficult period. Every country goes through poor leadership.
Absolutely.
And we are having our own share of it. But we will eventually rise to the occasion. And Africa will be a land where somehow everyone will be proud of.
Well, those leaders have been.
I have just been alerted that our time is up by our director, and we'll quickly take the entrepreneur. And of course, it is one of the most exciting portion of this show. And you know what we do on the entrepreneur? For every edition, we bring a Gambian who has set up a business for economic growth and employment creation. In this edition, we meet a woman by name Aisha Tujabi, who is the CEO of Jumba's Boutique, located at Serakunda Hyderabad Plaza. Aisha is doing a great job in selling high-quality clothing and cosmetics. Let's watch.
Tamo Aissatou Diabileti, uluta Paris, bore kuluta Gambia le, ana dindi yabe ke Gambia le fomenta, muluta ndara Paris, mester waleto, after muluta na Gambia kote, wa mbama ni fama bem Gambia no let. Na bitiko to Jombas bitik ngato la mbama la, mbama to mu Jombaleti, so ngaki e Jombas bitik. Business o da den kumpa ole ndundije because my experience soto before ma na wulula bukake so nte fangale den kumpa tareng ngone hara ma duga si business wa ko ya ko mi soto je wole keta because janni community jan mantar Gambia so jani ka bitiko soto jani ka bagage dun jani Gambia bagage dundo kole atale secondly fana antama sembo soto folo say no ngada muta so ngole soto je do mandi ngamo kiline employment kata na cosenti amuro tan na husbando ko malem na tele bi jambal comme bi mu Wednesday ti bi mala off day ti so bi abuka do ko ke wala ya sab bi atija ne muso le kadil jama jama ka ke baleti cause bagazol mi bi jam mon mi ka sula la wala kulli fengolti ani ni programme soto dindol fanal comme ni bebe din soto la wasival kewol fanal la bagaso bi jana mansia waital mostly nak ke bayindi la official do ngala fengol dilibe donc kanyene ngania extend ay wara fonga bojanga tadula do to fonga bitiki fula be so saba am fana ngamul emploi comme laftala nyame ngani yo baye nyame pour nga bo France nga sayna definitive nga bo Europe because mbatata Europe la bayol wafile miliare kita perlage kakenol wafi from India Bangkok kabagol wafi from Turkey and ka makeup wafi spray and information abe Hydra Plus le abe Santole Hydra Plus number 66. Na number munti 714-3271. Second number 315-8230. Be mi fara jiber lale wala fere jang Jombas Bitik, Hydra Plaza, number 66 Santo. So me mobe for mobe bagas beto lebijan from Dubai, India, China, and then I came from Bangkok, na me couple America, Paris, so everywhere.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Busubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
Welcome back after that short video. Of course, let's support Gambian businesses because it's all we have. If we don't support our own, who shall we support? Now to the special guest. Of course, today our special guest is Mr. Lamin Tamba of the APRC Diaspora Branch.
Thank you very much, Joy. I'm happy to be here on Kerr Fatou. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to Mr. Dabo and Mr. Cham. Happy to be sharing the same platform with you guys. I'm privileged.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
those kind words.
Yeah.
Kindly tell our viewers, who is Mr. Lamin? And then we would further delve into talking about APRC
Yes.
and then your opinion about the present dispensation.
Well, Lamin is a village boy, born and bred in Fonyi, a village called Arankon in Fonyi Jaro. Went to school in Wasadum Primary School. Went to high school in Buyam Fatima Technical High School. Went to Gambia College School of Public Health. Graduated from there, worked for medical and health, public health services for a few months, about 6 months, and I left for the United Kingdom, where I read my postgraduate degree. And then I changed from public health to environmental health. And then I changed from environmental health to an acting career. And then now I'm doing acting but studying law, part-time or in-between jobs. So I'm doing that just because I need a little bit of information in terms of legalities and how to go about stuff. And the acting industry, there can be serious long waits between jobs. So I want to fill the time in between. And then in between I do politics as well. I represent the APRC in the UK. I'm their mouthpiece. So I talk a lot. Thank you very much. That's Lamin Tamba.
So briefly tell us, we know APRC was the leader for the former regime, you know, that's the party that made the whole scenery that we had and also leading us to the impasse.
Yes.
Right? I would want you to briefly tell us, what do APRC Diaspora do?
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, the APRC Diaspora, personally, I joined after the impasse. I wasn't aware there was an APRC branch in the UK. I found out after the impasse because I realized the coalition came in and some of their promises that they made of unifying the nation and bringing everyone on board and not witch hunting they failed to follow those promises at the beginning. So I thought, okay, let's put these people in track, because they heading the same way we thought was a wrong path to follow. If you came in and start targeting a certain people, targeting a certain political party, then the unity that you promised the electorate and the people in the world, because what politicians need to remember is you're promising your family, you're promising your electorate, and the world is watching and listening. So you got to be careful. When you say to people, we'll come in, we'll not be like the former dispensation, we'll unite people. Nobody's going to lose their jobs because of their background. You'll lose your job because you're not competent, or you've been put there by accident. So they came in and started the infighting, pushing and pulling, and then I came on board trying to defend the average person. Look, government machinery cannot be stopped by an average person. People have tried and failed. People even picked up guns to stop it and they failed. So if you turn around and blame the ordinary people who are just voters and say to them, you guys are responsible for what happened in the last 22 years, it cannot be right, can it? It's a collective responsibility. I think the people themselves need to change, and our politicians will take us seriously. Because we're busy making excuses for what the politicians do, even when it's wrong, that's why most of them are taking us for granted. So I stood up and started defending the APRC, obviously, because they were at the receiving end of it. And then, so I said, you know what, this is not right. APRC, at the last count, was 209,000 Gambians, which is almost about half the voting population of the country. Are we going to sit there and watch half the voting age of the Gambia being targeted, being marginalized, being called names? I'm not going to take that. I'm going to stand up and defend the underdog, which I normally do in my life anyway. I don't like people targeting people for unnecessary reasons. Government machinery, yes, APRC is the parent party, but government machinery can't be stopped by a political party. It's too powerful for it. Other people have tried collectively, they couldn't do it. The coalition succeeded in changing that. So I came on board. I think my official date of joining the APRC was on the 16th of March. I said, you know what?
2017.
2017, yes. So I said to myself, we need to get a credible opposition to stop this. And until today, we're not succeeding in stopping this government doing some of the things that they're doing. But we'll come on to that later, hopefully. So the UK diaspora, sorry, I forgot to answer. We have taken the mantle of formalizing the party. And I personally am in contact with the APRC youth a lot, the youth wing. I'm trying to speak to them, help them out in terms of communication, in terms of if you want something, if you want public office, you got to prepare yourself for the rough and the smooth. You have to take both the rough and the smooth of public office.
So does this mean that the APRC wasn't a very formalized entity?
Some aspects of it weren't formalized, and I know that for a fact. And until today, some aspects of it aren't formalized. The good thing is, the entire APRC and the leadership is willing to go the formal route of doing things, rather than just jumping up and doing whatever you wish. You can't do stuff at your whim and fancy anytime you wish. So we're trying to formalize the party, put branches there, departments there. You know, we want to go the modern way. That's why the UK branch chips in. So our Congress was hailed as very successful, except for a few pronouncements which people didn't like, but it went well. We tried to formalize it, make things done in a formal way. And some of the mistakes we made, we want to rectify those when we go into government, and everything will be formal. For instance, the notorious things that people didn't like was arrest of people and they didn't know where they went. We're writing a policing document where if I come and pick him up, if his brother is there or his wife is there, we'll give him a slip, like the police do the producers, and say, okay, we picked him up on suspicion of slapping somebody else. So you know exactly who picked you up, which station you're going to. If it's high level, even in the West, they don't tell you where the high level criminal stuff is. So if it's related to terrorism or trying to overthrow the government, to stop panic, you will not know, but people will know it's the government agents that picked you up. Simple. You will not know where they are. So it depends on the category of cases. This is the formal procedure that we're setting up the party for. But people are underestimating us. Just wait. So the next election is almost beckoning.
Yes, well, welcome, Mr. Tamba.
Thank you.
Let me take you to the basics.
Yeah.
We don't belong to any political parties here when it comes to doing the job. So,
yes.
And then I know, unfortunately, we didn't have opposite side, a member from UDP or GDC or
Yes.
the other parties in here. So we'll try as much as possible to put to you
Yes.
the feelings and pronouncements
Yeah.
and the perceptions they have of APRC.
APRC.
And you mentioned that Congress in Guam, which
Yeah.
I was fortunate to attend.
Yeah.
Now, you're right. Nobody should lose your job because the government has changed.
Yes.
And there have been complaints from the APRC that their members have been targeted
Yes.
for removal from government positions because they come from, are they connected to APRC or they come from one area
Yeah.
which is believed to be the base of the APRC?
Yeah.
And people who are conscious always want to dismiss those kind of notions.
Yes.
To say that, okay, they have been removed because the new system wants to put in people
Yes.
whom they trust and can work to achieve their agenda.
Mhm.
That always happens when a new government comes.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's go to the basics. Now, what do you think
Yeah.
is the problem with the APRC? Even though you said you joined the party
Yeah.
only a couple of years back.
Yes.
What do you think led to the party's defeat at the polls?
I believe it's a combination of many things. Key amongst them is the fact that the former president has been there for some time. Okay, so let's say 20 years he's been there as a political party head. So that, in this growing world, it tends to create political or leadership fatigue in the minds of the people. No matter how successful you are, there'll be people who would be saying, okay, somebody's been there for too long.
Yeah.
Okay. So number two, people have complained a lot about matters that weren't answered. Whether the government was responsible for the arrest or the disappearance or the deaths of people, the government should have communicated effectively. Now, I don't know whether the government is still responsible for some of these people who disappeared or died, because we hear so many rumors about people paying the agents to go and torture their exes or torture their in-laws or whatever. So these stories are still not proven. But if the government knows they weren't involved in these things, I believe communicating with the people, especially affected families, would have helped, because it got to a point where people thought just mentioning Yaya Jammeh's name was abominable. It's blasphemy. If you mention it in the wrong circles, you're going to get picked up. But maybe it wasn't him that was doing this. It was low-level agents that were doing that. Maybe he wasn't aware. Who knows? Again, we've got Truth and Reconciliation Commission in progress. Hopefully we'll get answers to these things at some point. So that side of it, the human rights stuff, the president been there for some time. And again, we've seen people saying, oh, those people surrounding the president weren't sharp. They were just averages. It was just because of the name of the president that they were around him. So if there were people principled, educated, informed, education doesn't mean having your academic qualifications. It means you are able to make a difference in people's lives. If they could advise the president and say to him, we cannot do this way, let's do it that way. Let's formalize the way we do stuff. Let's sort this out because it's becoming a burden on the public. They're talking about disappearances, they're talking about detentions for long periods of time without charges. You cannot do that. Okay. Even if you do, you have to go and get extensions on 72 hours detention, maximum detention. So the human rights side of it, the length of the president's stay, and again, we saw the Arab Spring. Although if you link it to the Arab Spring, one might say there was a long lag between the Arab Spring and the Gambian change. But undoubtedly, it inspired many African countries. Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, and many other places changed. Even Nigeria changed. That Jonathan wouldn't have lost easily if it weren't for people's appetite to see a new face. So I think it's a combination. Plus, it's the first time we've seen the opposition come together and sing from the same hymn sheet. They tried to form NAD before, they tried to form coalitions before, they failed, and they blamed that person for it, and they blamed that. Once Gambians seen, okay, there's an alternative voice, a united voice against the APRC, they thought, okay, maybe that's the alternative we were looking for. So you can blame internally. I get to hear a lot of stories about what people done and the rigging and our judiciary stopping in the way of that petition being heard, which I think was unfortunate. I believe no matter what happened, the petition should have been heard. our judiciary should now stood in the way and said, no, you can't hear that because there was no court before it. Okay? If there were judges being supplied by the Commonwealth as evidenced, they should have allowed those cases to go to court, look at it, dismiss it, or approve the allegations that the elections were rigged, and we go to a fresh vote. But now that that didn't happen, government has changed. So people are blaming, oh, that person was part of the plot. The people came in and infiltrated the government and the party and done what they've done. But I rather go with what I see on paper as something that's provable, because I don't want to go with fantasies and theories that can't be proven. Might have happened. I wasn't in there. I was in an inside man, so I wouldn't know.
So yes, those are some of the factors many people think led to it. But now, given that we're going ahead, the APRC is setting out to, hoping to return to power.
Yes.
Now, ironically, you just said that there is a lot of feeling that perhaps the president stayed too long, and people in these modern times, people get bored too easily, especially in politics.
Yeah.
Why is it then, therefore, still paramount and important, the APR's agenda, to be protecting Jammeh?
Yeah.
And in the process, a lot of people continue to disagree with them just because of their insistence and obsession with protecting Jammeh.
Yes.
Don't you think putting Jammeh aside and coming up people, brilliant people like you yourself, Ja, who's the deputy spokesman, the Honorable Amunya, who's a brilliant politician, and others, to comfort and take up, so the party, rebrand the party, and put Jammeh to history where he belongs, would have helped the chances of the party and make it more acceptable to those people you think are bored with Jammeh.
Yes. So, I mean, the long and short of it is, we have, APRC is not short of talent. I think they haven't, most of them haven't been given the platform yet.
So, but why is it that the party would not come to reality and say, look, Jammeh has, like the PPP are not talking about Jammeh anymore, right? Why can't we say, look, Jammeh has done his past. He formed the party. He gave us a platform for us to pound our chest and say, we achieved this, but he is no longer electable or acceptable, at least for now.
Well,
let's bring in, you said there's no shortage of manpower.
No.
Let's just bring this brilliant young cadet, put them, put them in front, project a new image. Many people believe that will help the chance of the APRC than leaving the past. Yeah,
well, Jammeh himself is very popular in the APRC. And I mean,
that's APRC.
Yeah, that's APRC.
Yes.
However, for us to win the next election and get back into government, we need to go beyond the APRC borders. And that's where the appeal comes in. However, as you would agree with me, we live in a very uncertain political time. Very, very uncertain. So I would think it's a calculated move by the APRC Congress when they re-elected Jammeh to be the party leader. Naturally, Jammeh himself will not last forever. He knows it, we know it, and the party knows at some point somebody's going to step up and succeed him. But we don't know when. We don't know what's in store. The constitution is being changed. We don't know whether that constitution or the electoral reform is going to bar him or is going to allow him to run. So if we took him out now and put somebody in his place and found out after the constitutional change and after the electoral change that that person that we put in there is actually not qualified to run, then we find ourselves looking stupid. So we have to have some calculations in there. But once we've done those reforms and we completed everything, eventually we'll sit down and think, okay, the election is coming. This is our final Congress before we go into the polls.
Don't you agree with some analysis that, well, the APRC, perhaps because of its nature in the past, never actually prepared anybody to succeed Jammeh, and everything revolves around him. And whether he's here or not, the party has to stick to him to remain relevant or to survive.
Well,
that does not really rhyme with people in the party whom I talk to, progressive people who said, look, you know what, we have to be frank. Let's forget about Jammeh and move on and get people on board who did not agree with him, like you said.
Yeah, look, opinion is valid. I mean, your opinion is valid. What we need to look at is, yes, there's no noticeable person that he groomed to succeed him one day. There was none. However, in his absence, the party's fared really well. We're still one of the biggest, if not the biggest, considering the problems with the coalition right now. However...
And that's because people still, he's the rallying point still.
Yeah, that's why I said to you, he's popular. Right now, if you put him against other candidates in the APRC, and you have to agree it's a democracy. If Jammeh comes back and says, I'm going to run for office, the laws haven't barred him. There's no reason why he couldn't run. He's not incapacitated. You have to agree democratically.
One can just tell you that doesn't happen in APRC. Nobody will contest against that.
You never know. You never know.
No.
You never know.
One can disagree with you that put that out. There will be no internal competition.
Do you know why we ended?
It has never been a tradition.
Do you know why we ended up with Adama Barrow? Because nobody ever thought they were going to beat Yahya Jammeh. So they put him there as a sacrificial lamb. Tell me today, you tell me today, Mr. Cham, tell me today, if we put Halifa Saleh, Dr. Bojang and Barrow again to run now for office or to lead the coalition, do you think Barrow will have a chance?
No, he won't.
Precisely. No chance.
You weren't here then. What made Barrow perhaps the overwhelming choice? I know even his colleagues in the convention contested for the convention to knew his inadequacies, they knew his limitations, but they knew that at that moment, it was him or never. They made the sacrifice that, okay, anyone of us is better than Jammeh. That's why he was there. It could have been anybody. Even if you had come from London a week later, you would have won.
But have you heard recent cries now? I'm not saying Jammeh should come back into office or he shouldn't, but you heard recent cries now. When people are desperate, they cry for the time that they thought was better for them. And people are crying and say, bring Jammeh back.
But do you also realize that the present political dispensation,
landscape,
they don't agree among themselves. There's a lot of bickering with them. But one thing they agree is that nobody wants Jammeh back.
Well, they can say that now. Who knows? You know what the English people say? 1 week is a long week in politics. 1 week can be too long in politics. A lot can happen. However, I'm looking at it from the legal side of it, electoral side of it. If he comes back and says he's going to run, because we're in a democracy now, as people say, we're in a democracy. If he says I'm going to run, we're not going to say, hang on,
democracy. You are putting quotes in the democracy.
Well,
here you are. You in London and other places to criticize the government anyhow you like. You flew into Banjul. Nobody will check whether you're returned. You're walking free.
Absolutely.
It's not possible under Jammeh. The democracy is real.
It was possible under Jammeh. When you go personal, then Jammeh goes personal. Maybe. Because people blame him for everything that happened without knowing.
So Tamba, a lot of people disagree with you. They could not come to the government. They could not come to the Gambia, and their only crime, perhaps, is even less serious than you did. They only spoke at one forum. You can say anything you like in London, but come here.
During that period, Ousseynou Dabo was here. He was telling Yahya Jammeh's government is not transparent. He must adhere to probity.
They don't target those ones. Government don't target the big fish because the trouble will be bigger.
But
the only people who criticize a lot are the soft targets.
But UDP had executive and members who were criticizing Jammeh during his period.
But eventually, where did they end?
Some of them ended up. Do you know how many people ended up in jail in Barrow's short tenure?
Well, yes. We know that there are a lot of people who got into trouble one way or the other.
Just for calling a president names.
Just as the changes. There were people who were allegedly because they said something against the government.
Even as of last year.
That I have had a lot of cases, some cases like that. But in no way can you compare to what was happening.
Well, we haven't got there yet. In Jammeh's 2 years as a military ruler, apart from the skirmishes that happened within the military circles, and the unfortunate passing of Koro Sise, there weren't many civilians who were involved in all the stuff he was alleged for committing after the elections of 1996. So Barrow is young, and I hope we don't go back to that. I hope we never go back to that.
By you and me and
many other people never to return. Because I'm not going to sit here and deny that there were detentions without charges. My brother was in it. He was detained for 3 to 4 months without charges and then dismissed from the army, just because he posted with photos on Facebook apparently. So people have, my uncle's disappeared. We don't know where he is. But again,
that's under Jammeh or the Barrow?
Under Jammeh. Okay. But again, we cannot, if we apply one rule and say Jammeh was responsible for all the bad things that happened under him, we need to hold Barrow
and
by the same standards. Yeah, we need to hold Barrow. So if somebody got punched or kicked or jailed in somewhere, and then we thought Jammeh was responsible, if somebody disappears for a few days or somebody's in the cells for, like Omar Toure, for 5 days, no charges, we'll say Barrow is responsible. Yes. We need to be consistent.
People get killed in Faraba.
Barrow is responsible. Yeah, we need to be consistent. Can you lie? We have to say Barrow is responsible. If not, because I work...
You had voices saying that.
Yeah.
You can say that.
Yeah, but
I couldn't have said that on the Jammeh. I couldn't have Jammeh. You killed the students. No. You go to jail.
Yeah, but I said Barrow. I never said...
That's fair. Say the difference.
Yeah, the difference between me and many people in APRs and UDP and others. Yeah. I worked in a formal system. Yeah. I worked at senior level. I was a principal officer when I left to go acting. The acting happened out of nowhere. So I know how the system works. Yeah. You cannot attribute every single negative to the Prime Minister of Britain. No. You know, even when the Prime Minister declares war in Iraq, they don't attribute it to him. They said it's government policy, Parliament voted for it. Yeah? So it's the same. Jammeh might do things, may not have done these things. Might have been aware, might not have been aware. So, but if we judge him by one standard, we need to judge Barrow by the same standard, and we need to go back and judge Jawara by the same standard. So if Jammeh comes in with his electoral, which is his right to contest, and he wants to stand, and wins the APRC's leadership and flag bearer to become APRC's flag bearer, we can't do much about it. But there might be Lamin Tamba tomorrow who comes to APRC, because when we finish our reforms and we start rolling them out, you might think, hang on, this is a breath of fresh air. I might go and join APRC. You can run for office, despite your criticism of APRC today. And this is what I keep saying to the youth of APRC and the executive. Forget what happened before December 2016. Forget it. This is politics. We need to transform ourselves. We need to move on with time. Or just because somebody was in the US doing radio program going against Jammeh doesn't mean if they want to come and join us to make Gambia better, we should turn them away. Politics is not like that. They always say no permanent enemies.
Exactly.
Yeah? So we are looking at those things. And if you look at it now, a lot of the insults and all the insolence that goes around our political leaders is decreasing in the APRs. I say to the youth, if you want to be taken seriously, compose yourself and do that back and forth with people, especially on social media. UDP people call me all sorts of names. Some DOI people call me all sorts of names. And even the TRRC, I was complaining about the procedure of the TRRC, the constitution of the TRRC, and the legalities surrounding the 5 council members of the AFPRC. And people started lambasting me, I'm insensitive to families, is it uproar? I said, hang on a second. One thing I believe in is managing people's expectations. The constitution clearly says, you know the Indemnity Act. 5 AFPRC members cannot be prosecuted for crimes committed between 22nd July and October 22nd July 1994 to October 1996. So should we leave these families hanging thinking there's a case for them? Or should we manage their expectations and say, look, you don't have any case against these people. And if you change the constitution legally, constitutions don't go backwards. They can't be retrospective. So you can't go back and punish them. So I'm sharing this knowledge because I'm a law student. Even before that, I worked in a legal system. I deal with lots of prosecutions.
I think they find it difficult to understand your point.
Precisely.
You declare that you are APRC.
I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. They think anything I post is political.
Yes.
But some of it is actually educative. And this is what's happening. And if you look at the other sections of the Constitution, they say the President of the Gambia cannot be answerable to acts committed while in office. So Yahya Jammeh, anything he done from 22nd of January 2017 and now, if he done something wrong, he can be prosecuted for it. But when he was in office, it will be difficult. You can change the constitution, you can't go backwards. The only way around it is maybe change the constitution, but again, enact some other laws that will go backwards, but not the constitution. As far as I know, that's what happens. And they say, oh, he's insensitive. I said, no, look, I don't discuss family, individual cases. I have no right to. I was no witness, I was no enabler. I was one of the perpetrators, so I don't want to get into it. I never discuss individual cases at all. But people can't separate things. Exactly. Once it's green, oh, anything he says is hair. That's the big, massive problem with our society.
Mustafa?
Or then perhaps the counter argument may be that the TRRC is not a court, it's not prosecuting Jammeh.
Exactly. That's what people don't understand that. You hear people saying, oh, he's a killer. Oh, we're going to go and burn them. because they've been named on the TRRC. I said, hang on, TRRC is not a courthouse. It's not a sitting. In court, they might bring these witnesses in. Witness evidence is very important. But the actual evidence in the act, actus reus, is very important. And then you have to prove that beyond reasonable doubt. And then you drop down to the intention, whether these people actually intended to kill. So that's the mens rea. And then if that is not been proven, then it's difficult for the case to move. I'm keeping in tabs with Mr. Sanding's case in court. And this is the problem they've got. You might say, oh, he killed them. How do you know? If you did say they killed him, did they intend to kill him, or were they just torturing him and then he died? And then legally, there's a massive difference between murder, grievous bodily harm, or involuntary manslaughter, or other sorts of offenses. But people don't realize that. Just because they said, oh, Darbo's name is mentioned on the TRS. Oh, he's a killer. Go and get him and burn him. Hang on. You said the previous government was doing that and it was wrong. But you want to do the same. Eye for an eye. You can't do that. You got to let justice take its course. So people, TRRC is their responsibility to educate Gambians and say, look, at the moment we're just gathering facts. Okay? You cannot go around calling these people criminals or killers until, yes, if somebody openly confessed like the other fellow.
They did say that people must not take the law into their hands.
Yeah.
Just as they said people should not interfere with the witness.
Yeah.
They said nobody should take the law into your hands and attack somebody because it's been named.
Yeah, precisely. But that needs to go to our local radio stations.
Yeah,
fine. Yeah. So now people need to realize it's just evidence gathering. Okay, they can't take the law into their hands. If somebody came and openly confessed, yes, it's dead certain in any law, department, any country.
But then again,
the TRC is supposed to regulate that and see whether these people can be prosecuted, can be forgiven. That will be later. So people need to be patient and let it course. I always complained about procedure. I have massive disagreements with the way it was constituted because two of the main people in it had issues with Jammeh.
Yes.
You can't have a foe judging a foe. It never happens anywhere. So that was my main complaint. But not individual cases, because I still feel sorry. I mean, Kurosis's family is probably related to mine, because my mom was in Mandinka. There's a Karafato, the CCs from Jafaro, and those CCs are in Jarol in Fonyi. And my mom was Karafato to the family. So we are interrelated. So I keep saying to her, I'm not discussing individual cases. What is the insensitive? So I'm trying to educate you. And you're saying that's insensitive.
Okay, so for me, I'll take you a little bit back. I've interacted with quite a few people in APRC, among them Yakuba,
FTJ,
Koli,
Yakuba Koli, Amul, and all this. And you have some progressive young people
in the party.
But then again, don't you think it's also an obligation on APRC that when some wrongs or alleged wrongs are alleged to have been committed by a regime that they played a part in making, that they concede and say that in order to move from that past, we can accept we can celebrate our successes, but we can also accept our failures.
Yes, I mean, I said to you earlier, I said, look, I'm not going to sit here and deny that things have happened. The difference is things have happened and that person done it without you having evidence. Yes, so nasty things have happened, and I know that. In fact, the UN came, the report is there, it's public. The UN says when they conducted the investigation and completed in 2013, 35 people died, 12 disappeared, 5 unaccounted for. So who are we to sit here and say it didn't happen? My only question is, who committed these acts? Was the government aware? And when the government became aware, what steps did they take to investigate these people's cases and get to the bottom of the matter?
So
did they do that?
Why young people like you came to APRC after the impasse,
yes.
And you appear like Femi Mahoney, the devil's advocate on social media. I
love going for the underdog mostly.
So if you are looking at it from that vantage point, there are people who are not necessarily devil advocates, but there are people who are suspected to have been involved in some past issues. and they're still in the party.
Yeah.
You don't think that image
Yeah.
would still cloud over the party and would affect the party's chances in making inroads in certain communities?
Yeah, the image is never going to go away. It will never vanish. 200 years later, they would say there was an APRC party which did this and this and that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not going to go away. What the party needs to do, show the willingness, the desire to move away from those things, to make it better. But to help that as well, they need to show new faces, not even taking over Jammeh's place, but the executive level, the youth need to be given the platform. Their capacity needs to be developed now, between now and the next election, so people know, yeah, these people have got what it takes to run a government. Whether you like it or not, the cabinet that you have as a shadow cabinet, when you go into government, is going to change, because interest groups will come in. People come from nowhere that you didn't know had, like, blinding CVs, magnificent work experiences and skills and everything else. Is going to change. But at least you will know there's no shortage of people in the party. So the party needs to demonstrate that we're actually willing to move away from some of the negatives. We've done a lot of positives, probably far better than what the previous government's done. We need to improve those. One thing I said to my cousin the other day, because I was coming from Fonyi, I said, you build a diamond house for Gambians or Africans, it'll crumble to dust within a few years, because people don't believe the attitude of the culture of maintenance. Yeah? So even though APRs has built the university, built the TV, built tarmac, done stuff, that wasn't enough. We still need to come in and take it from there. We need to show people, our kids 15, 20 years later, which it took Dubai to be what it is today, that we've paved our roads, our water supply is non-stop, our electricity is non-stop. Hopefully electricity will be sorted, because the hydroelectric coming from Guinea should be able to stabilize. Yeah, it should stabilize stuff. Okay, again, I'm not gloating, but it's an APRC project.
Now listen,
Yeah.
Now, the APRC has done a lot of positive things. Open up places such as here. When I was growing up here, all these places were, and I know how you used to travel to walk, and then at the Observer. Open up places that were sleeping giants, the built schools, built universities. But I've often heard that man's most precious possession is not his building, it's not his new road, it's not his new car, or it's not his, but it's his own life.
Inner peace.
And the peace. And your critics at the APRs haven't done well in that, in respecting the dignity and the life of the people. They were very oppressive when it comes to dissent. And all those things contributed to the public, the mass mobilization of opinions against them at the elections. Well, let me take you back to the elections. You were far. Because there was a controversy which is still raging. Because if you ask people like FTJ, they will tell you, I still don't believe that we lost. Now, very quickly, you were away. You said you don't quite understood why the court would not allow
the petition.
And FTJ once said this. He said he cannot remember, cannot understand how a whole West Africa could not mobilize 4 judges. Yet they are able to mobilize 7,000 troops in one day. He said that he said he could not understand. Which I found right. But the thing is, the election results were declared. For the first time in the Gambia, everybody knows the results before the IEC chairman. The polling stations where you are, you could tell who leads here. Everybody collected the results. The IEC, in the view of all the people who assessed, only made a mistake in announcing the results, which is very important. I'm not trying to trivialize but that can change everything.
No, absolutely.
Even the APRC knows their total. They even conceded defeat. But they capitalized on that error and you know they repeated the error back in the
local government.
The mistakes were genuine mistakes. Why I say genuine mistakes? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they only make. It's like if somebody's child, if Mustafa's wife gave birth to a boy. Right? He came out and everybody in Baliwan everywhere that, oh, we are going to christen a boy.
Yeah.
Suddenly, the nurse came and said, no, in fact, it was a girl.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody would be down.
Yeah.
Then actually, the truth is, it was a girl.
Yes.
But because it wasn't known then.
Yeah.
So, the announcement of the results had a problem. And people, like the APRC, some people, some people are saying, not even Jammeh. Jammeh had conceded defeat. He actually was the first person who came with the correct results.
Yes.
So even with the IC making mistakes, people capitalized on it, and then said, well, after all, well, perhaps we were asked, I mean, the election was rigged. When there are people have their
results,
returns, the APRC agents have their returns, everybody has their returns. So
I mean,
what do you think? Were they just fishing, were they on a fishing expedition perhaps to contest the result and see what will happen? Perhaps one judge from Nigeria will call for a rerun, or perhaps?
Yeah, probably. I mean, a rerun was one of the requests. He made the open. We must go back to the polls.
But after yourself convincing yourself that I lost? Well,
he convinced himself. Apparently, there's more evidence than just the correction the IEC made. But we'll never know now, will we? Because it never went to court.
But the IEC said, they kept, they kept the ballot boxes still sealed, and the results are here. They were ready for everybody for a recount. And see, instead of a rerun, you go a recount.
Well, they could have done that, but the court had to order it. IEC wouldn't have.
You're sure about recount? Because if a recount was done,
it would have
the evidences at the time that would have been available for a recount were already compromised because the security had already taken control.
It's possible. It's possible. You know what? Even if
and you know what? And you know what? Actually, the IEC told us. And they told diplomats who came. And the ECOWAS heads of states who came. We're all familiar with how do you call this? Excel.
Excel spreadsheet.
Their argument was this. The columns shifted. What should have been the total for Barrow? What should have been the total for a nation? Came to be Barrow's total. Barrow's this shifted. All you need to do, shift the column one way back, and everything falls in the center.
How many more columns? How many more columns shifted, Mr. Jam? This is why we would have tested the courts. They should have allowed the case to go to court. No matter what happened, if somebody submitted their case to court, the court or the bar association couldn't have put obstacles in between. It was just unfortunate that it didn't go to court. No matter what, you know what.
So do you believe, okay, there was a conspiracy, international conspiracy against Jammeh, the APRC?
I mean, signs are that there was something at play. I'm not saying the international community is involved, but there's something at play because so many things weren't right at the time. However, if there were no...
But many people putting candidates' votes and Barrow's votes together.
It's still...
Many people still disagree with Jammeh.
True.
The results show that.
Which is true, which is again the struggle that Barrow has because many people are against it. If people carry an APRC as an opposition...
That's what Barrow has. That's why people want the second round to come. People who
can have majority.
Actually have the majority of the people. So
we have to have that.
Quite right. Barrow, a lot of people did not vote for him and he's president.
Thank you very much. This is one of the most insightful segments that I personally love the most. And I must say, Mr. Lamin Tamba, you've done justice to this segment of the show.
Thank you.
Well, before we take a leave of you, let's go for Hotspot. And for this week's Hotspot, we will be featuring Broadway fast food and restaurant located at Bamboo. Let's watch.
Broadway fast food and restaurant. Broadway here we offer different service. Like we normally offer for parties, weddings, and also we cater for when people have occasions, special occasions like conference. And we also offer our customers with fast food in case like when they need food, they have to call us then we normally deliver in advance. When it comes to our menus, we have start and main course and desserts, and also we offer food like chicken and chips, burger, and also roasted chickens, grilled, also cakes. And cake. We also provide our customers with cakes, like when they have birthday parties, weddings, and also special cakes like sliced cakes, and also we also offer them also with these coconut tarts, like when they need like snacks and so. Just after, when you come from Tibagaras to Serakuna, just before Tiba, and from Serakuna going to Tibagaras after Jitiba. That's where we are going. Business number we have 7439 551. 506-3685 and 7261 509 743-9551 and 506-3685 7261 509. What I would like to tell my viewers is I want to invite them, let them come to Broadway and and test our food also. We normally cater for birthday, weddings, and conference. When they have conference, let them come to Broadway. And also some customers also, they are always afraid to go and eat outside. But here, if you come with your problem, like maybe you may like, you don't just mention us your problem. You say, okay, I'm high blood, I have high blood, and I want to eat. So we are going to advise you what to eat, and we work according to the way your doctor is. Broadway is the hottest spot in town.
Welcome back. And of course, Broadway is definitely the place to be. Do go there and enjoy, and make sure you always support Gambian business. And now to Who Am I? So what we do, Mr. Lamin.
Yes.
So for the Who Am I segment, what we do is we'll be surprising you with a questionnaire called Who Am I?
Yes.
Right? And the idea is to give you the opportunity to our viewers to know you better.
Yes.
Because there have been controversies. Everybody's like Lamin this, Lamin that, and all of that. So it's now time for us to play with the cards. Are you ready for the segment?
I am ready.
Are you sure you're ready?
Ever ready.
Now the first question reads,
Yeah.
what can't you do without?
I can't do without my phone.
Wow.
Well, that was only 2001, and now, what were you doing before?
Oh, maybe I was living another life somewhere.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
I see myself working for the Gambian people in the farms somewhere.
What's your favorite Gambian dish?
I like plazas.
Wow.
I love it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What is the funniest thing that have ever happened to you?
I think watching one of Barrow's comments on Dr. Cisse. That was hilarious.
Where were you?
Where was she, Dr. Cisse?
Then you were another state.
Oh, man.
It was not funny, it was scary.
It was scary. He was angry, wasn't
I was
he?
right in front of him.
He was angry.
It was not funny.
You said that with anger.
Yeah, I realized. Yeah.
What is the most vivid moment, or what's the most childhood vivid moment or memory that you've got?
Childhood memories running in the rain. Amazing. When
Do you
it's
miss
raining
that?
and you run around from compound to compound, I miss it big time. Yeah.
Who are your heroes?
My heroes are like Nelson Mandela, #1. And his attitude towards reconciliation is like nothing else. First African president to willingly resign as well, after one term.
So what are the 3 best words that describes you?
Very open.
Very
Open.
open.
Yeah.
Now that brings me to my final question.
Ah.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm open.
And now it reads, what is the one thing people would be surprised to know about Lamin Tamba?
People will be surprised to know that behind politics, I am everyone's man. Everyone is my man or woman. I don't have no problems with anyone. We can argue here till the cows come home tomorrow. I'll go and take him to a bar and we have cocktails and all the things. Yeah.
That's right. So this have brought us to the end of the show. But before we take leave of you, what would be your final message to our viewers?
My final message is Gambians need to learn to reach out to each other. We need to be able to learn to separate between public life and private life. That's a challenge, especially our young people. They can't tell the difference between, okay, I'm in my political colors now and I'm in my national colors now. Big difference. And people need to learn that. You cannot have Mr. Cham as an enemy just because he supports UDP or supports GDC or I support APRC. No, I don't like. In fact, most of the people I talk to the most these days are the UDP people. In the open, they are my biggest rivals. They call me names. Behind it, it's like, hey, are you free? In fact, since I came here on Tuesday, they've been chasing me. They want to drink. They want to sit down and chat. They want to know what goes on inside my head. You know, I was like, I don't have problems, and I've had a few drinks with some of them already. So people need to be able to know when to engage and disengage. Very important if you want to run public office. If you're going into public office, it comes with the baggage. You will be called names. You will be criticized even when you're performing. People will say, oh, he's not doing it. And you know what our society is. If I go and tell somebody I saw Joy with some broken red shoes today, they say, oh, I heard that presenter at Kerr Fatou wears broken red shoes, without knowing whether it's actually true.
That's right.
Yeah, so people need to learn to dig into matters, look at the legal side of stuff. We get too emotional with stuff. Let's move away from it when we're dealing with the public. We can't be too emotional, too sentimental.
Let's move away from emotions and sentiments. Those are the words of Mr. Lamin Tamba. And now to Mr. Cham.
Yeah, I want to thank our guest, Lamin. Definitely, whether you agree with him or not, he's doing a brilliant job for the APRC. And his very presence, I mean, his contribution is very assuring that in the future, Gambians will have brilliant young people who will be in politics, no matter where they are. I mean, Henry Gomez, he's not APRC. He said this country will not be led by old bars.
Yeah.
Only youths.
Only youths.
And
Yeah.
it's not APRC.
It's not APRC.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So, people like Lamin have really given us hope that in the future,
Yeah.
brilliant young people will come to politics.
Things will change.
Yeah.
That's definite.
Mr.
We'll go back to the
Davo?
past.
I think it's been an important conversation, important national conversation. Anytime there is politics, I am there. He's your neighbor, by the way. He's from Kerr.
He's from Kerr. My uncle.
He's from a poorer part of the country.
And my neighbors and my uncles.
Yeah. So it's been an amazing episode. We look forward to an eventful week.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Joy.
Thank you.
Happy to be on your platform, Mr. Cham. I've always idolized him. He writes well since I was in school. I'm looking at his columns at the Daily Observer. You know, Mr. Davo, meeting you for the first time has been a pleasure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much to our panelists, and of course to you, our viewers, that have always never disappointed watching the Brunch show. And just a quick reminder that if you want to be part of the show or you want to sponsor the show, of course we're very open. We would not do justice if we don't thank EJ Investments for believing in Kerr Fatou and also sponsoring a show. So on behalf of Kerr Fatou and the team, we want to wish our boss lady happy birthday. I'll leave you with that now. Bye.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.